What I'm holding here is a copy of the peace agreement negotiated and signed between the United States and Vietnam. One of the provisions of this agreement was that every prisoner on both sides, that is, prisoners held in South Vietnam by the U.S. and by South Vietnam, everybody, all prisoners, were to receive a copy of this agreement within 5 days. After the peace agreement was signed, I can recall at that time we were all in the Hanoi Hilton under very different conditions, much more relaxed than they had been in previous years. We were in larger cells, big groups, and we had access to the central courtyard and did a lot of our own cooking and so forth, which was totally different than any past experience. A few days after the peace agreement was signed, a very senior Vietnamese officer came around, and we were required to go out into the courtyard and line up in formation and listen to him talk. And the message was, this war is not over, it's going to go on for years, and you're going to be here, and it's going to be a long war. 2 days later, we got our copies of the peace agreement, which explained all the release mechanisms and the dates and so forth. And so I still have that, and if you can see on the back of it, that was the only paper that we had access to, and I used it to take notes and keep lists and so forth and do all kinds of other things.
Sir, I'm going to go close on the front part and
Sure.
then have you turn it. Let me go in close, and then when you turn it around, I'll do that as well if you don't mind. 1 second. Okay, and then I just get this. And then do you want to turn it around, sir?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect.
Still rolling?
And then let's take a look at those photographs.
You got
Sure.
the- you got the logbook too.
And then the logbook, yeah. I'll move it over closer to you.
Sure. Okay, this is a sheet with has some pictures taken at the moment that I arrived in San Diego, and the arrangement was that you were sent to the Naval Hospital nearest to your home, and my wife at the time was living in San Diego, so I went to Balboa Naval Hospital there in San Diego, and so my last flight on the return journey was a landing at Miramar. And the press and all family and so forth were there. And these are pictures taken at my arrival there. And this one in the corner down here is myself and Mike McGrath aboard C-141 flying across the Pacific on the way home.
Do you remember what you and Mike said to each other at that moment?
No idea.
I'll ask Mike and see if he remembers.
Yeah, sure.
We're going to see him.
And now I'm going to do a close-up on that again, sir.
Sure.
You good with reflections, Kim? And who are the women waiting in a line there?
Okay, waiting in line. First of all was my wife, then my 2 sisters, and finally my brother.
Good, Kim?
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Now your logbook.
Yeah, this may be a distant memory for many of the modern naval aviators, but we used to keep paper logbooks. And this is the one that recorded all my flights during the war. And in classic Navy fashion, all the combat missions are in green ink. And so I did 2 deployments to Vietnam, one on the Midway and one on the Coral Sea. Both ships that are now out of service. Coral Sea has been cut up for scrap. The Midway is now a museum in San Diego, and in fact, one of my squadron airplanes is on display there, having been lovingly restored and taken out of the boneyard by some of my squadron veterans.
Do you remember the number on that airplane and a description?
Well, it's a A4E.
I'm going to go in close on it, sir.
Okay, let me get the right page.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
That's nice where he's thumbing through it. Do you remember the fuselage number on it?
No, I don't.
Uh-huh.
But if you ever go on the Midway, you can't mistake it. It's the only A4 that's on display and has all the markings it had when it was in the squadron during the war.
We will be filming on the Midway. We
Okay.
will be filming Jack Inch and what is it? Bill Stark.
Yes.
They're
By the
both-
way, for all those who are interested, the Midway is a very worthwhile visit. The docents there are mostly retired Navy guys, and they know what they're talking about.
Jack and Bill are both have been docents for years. on
Sure.
Midway. Okay. You good, Kent?
Yes?
All right. So we want to just do coverage on
Did you
this one?
cut?
Yes.